Illinois' best source for news and weather.
Shots rang out after a funeral in Champaign. The number of people hurt and the latest from the scene at the American Legion. Also tonight, vacant lots for sale in Springfield.
The lots that vacant, the city has to maintain them, and that comes at a cost, ultimately, to the taxpayer.
Just how many are available and at what price? And in sports, college athletes can now be compensated. How the University of Illinois is stepping up to help.
WAND News at 6 starts now.
First at 6, we continue to follow developing news out of Champaign. That city's shaken. Police confirm multiple people shot this afternoon. WAND News has a crew on the scene. Our Chris Carter among them at Hickory Street near the American Legion. We start with Chris right now. What do we know?
Well, Sean, in the last half hour, Hickory Street has reopened. It was shut down for several hours because there were several shell casings in the road. And as you can see behind me, investigators have now began to focus their search and their investigation on the parking lot of American Legion Post 559. Show you some video from earlier here in this evening. We are told that the shooting happened during a repast for David. That's a celebration that followed the funeral of a shooting victim. His name was David Dalton. He was 32. He was shot in the back on June 20th, and he died at the hospital. We were told that this event had just started here when the shots rang out. I talked to one employee of the American Legion who told me that he was 10 feet from the shooting when it started, and he would have ran if he could, but he was just in shock. And he stood still. Obviously a very emotional scene out here. We know that multiple people were shot, but we don't know how many because the victims are still showing up at the hospital, according to Champaign police. We're told that a press conference will happen sometime tonight, but we do not know an exact time. For now, we are live in Champaign. Chris Carter, WAND News.
We turn now to continue our team coverage with Sophia Espinoza. As mentioned, an emotional scene.
Sean, well, the emotions were definitely high. The moments when I arrived on scene, that's when people started to evacuate and people were crying as they tried to get away from the police scene. But right now, I want to focus a little bit more on what exactly is still going on here right now and show you a little bit more. This street has now been opened up, but before it was closed off. This is Hickory Street. Multiple shell case markers were there, but they've been picked up. So now they're just focusing on the area in front of the American Legion Post 559. So they're still going over there through the markers and picking all those up. They just finished actually doing a whole laser scan of that entire area to take pictures of the scene and start to actively investigate exactly what happened. And the shell case markers are not only there, but across to the right of the building as well. Now, crime scene unit, as I said, it's still here investigating. And Chris mentioned before there were multiple people shot, but we don't know that number yet. Again, we'll continue to update you with everything we know. For now, live in Champaign, Sophia Espinoza, WAND News.
Markers, an indication of just how many shots were fired. WAND News is following the developing story. Recapping now for what we know. Multiple people shot in Champaign near the American Legion Post 559 on North Hickory Street. Happened during a gathering for a Champaign man who died of a gunshot wound just under 2 weeks ago. We're working to learn more details, and of course we'll bring you as our web team is updating the latest details as we learn them online, WANDTV.com. Stay up to date with the latest breaking news. Download the WAND News app for push alerts to come to your phone. Also out of Champaign, detectives are trying to find out who shot an 18-year-old man overnight. 900 block of Francis Drive. Officers found the victim around 2:45 in the morning, taken to the hospital for multiple gunshot wounds to his leg. He's expected to survive. Officers also found shell casings, 13 of them at that scene. Anyone with information about this shooting, call Champaign police. Illinoisans live in fear over gun violence, according to the latest SafeWise study. Shows there are more guns here than any other state. The FBI shows over 5 million firearm background checks performed in the state so far. The next state at that level, Kentucky, just over 1 million. Study finds some even worry about gun violence every day.
83% of Illinois residents told us they worry about gun violence every single day. Over 6 in 10 Illinois residents worry about their safety every single day, according to our survey. That's 36% higher than what we saw in Illinois last year, and is also much, much higher than the US average of 47%.
Survey finds the majority of people worried about crime spreading are worried about it continuing to spread in their neighborhood.
Meanwhile, just some harmless high clouds veiled across the daytime sky, making it kind of look a A little milky outside on our Flooring America camera network. That's okay. Those high clouds, which originated out across the UP of Michigan, will continue to press southbound, and we'll be able to clear things out a little bit later on tonight. And at the same time, the wind becomes calm. So the bottom line, it's going to get cool outside yet again. I don't know. Anytime it's in the 50s, I'm grabbing my jacket. You make the call on that one. I'll tell you when it turns again toward the heat when I come back, Sean.
Honoring a fallen firefighter, Lakeland Apartments in Mattoon hosts a celebration of life for Mehdi Murad. Here's a live look at that celebration. Murad was a firefighter for the Wabash Fire Protection District. Sorry, we don't have the live look. He died earlier this week while responding to a crash on Interstate 57 in severe weather. He was only with the Wabash Fire Protection District 5 days, responding to just his second call. Murad's visitation starts at 10 tomorrow morning. His funeral will follow at noon. Both will be at New Hope Church in Effingham. WAND News will bring you coverage of his legacy and life tomorrow evening. COVID cases on the rise. Health officials warn you, stay alert. State health officials reported more than 2,100 new cases of COVID-19 in the last week, 54 additional deaths. The IDPH director says that it's still important for unvaccinated people to wear a mask, social distance, and with raised concern of the rapidly spreading Delta variant, officials recommend in large groups, indoor settings, everyone, including those vaccinated, wear that mask. To find out where you can get tested for COVID or receive your vaccine, go to our website, WANDTV.com. Still to come, sitting empty, the lots one city's trying to revitalize and repurpose to bring new life to the city. And teenagers teaming up, the Park District empowering our youth this summer. An update, a man arrested now in connection to that carport fire in Decatur. We have the latest from police.
Plus, Canada reopens its borders, what travelers need to know.
Let's take a look right now live over Lake Decatur at South Shores, first at 4. Yeah, it's pretty hazy out there. Just kind of an icky day, I'd say. It's a hot weekend ahead, and that could lead to a chance of isolated storms and showers. Thanks for being with us. I'm Sean Street.
And I'm Dawn Sterling. Meteorologist Phil Collins is in today. What are the chances we might see rain tonight?
Well, it's going to be very isolated for anyone that does or is looking for those rain showers. If you're along the I-72 corridor or even I-74 northward, your chances are better. Let's go and take a look at satellite radar, and you're going to notice we do have some showers there in Logan County, moving through Lincoln at this time, eventually through to Witt. But the thing is, over the loop, well, they've slowly lost their intensity. So we were talking some thunderstorms, now it's just some isolated showers. Storm Prediction Center still says we could see some strong, maybe even a severe thunderstorm up towards McLean, Fort Iroquois County. But with how dry we've been, the amount of sunshine we've received, and you can see some more there on a Flooring America Barn Citizen building, it's becoming less likely just because it's been limited. Coming up in a few short minutes, we'll break down those chances of storms and the rest of the forecast coming up at about 4:17.
Breaking news at 4. A man has been arrested in connection to a carport fire we first told you about yesterday. Police say Andre Kelly was arrested for a DUI and failing to give information after striking a vehicle. Officers say they responded to the hit and run incident near North Edward and West Packard Streets early Thursday morning. Officers later responded to the apartment fire near West Macon and South College, where Kelly's vehicle from the hit and run was found. Police say the car overheated and caused the fire after the crash, spreading to the carport and several other vehicles.
We had one apartment that had been done from top to bottom, and they're all destroyed, and this is their home, and they're so sad.
That fire left 11 residents displaced. The Decatur Salvation Army told WAND News they were able to provide shelter for all the residents, and they are currently staying in a local hotel while damage is being assessed. Decatur Housing Authority does not know when they'll be able to return to their homes. A 4-year-old girl is dead after being accidentally shot by another child at a Chicago home.
Absolute tragedy, Dawn. Police say the child was inside that home Wednesday evening when another child found the weapon inside a bag. That weapon accidentally went off. The bullet struck the little girl in the chest. Police have deemed this accidental, although a man has been taken into custody for questioning.
You bring guns into any situation without proper safety, proper training. If you illegally possess a gun, it's always more dangerous when a gun is in play.
Police, they continue to investigate that shooting.
And sadly, a fire is blamed for the deaths of 5 children who were home alone in East St. Louis. Police say the overnight fire broke out in an apartment when an adult left to pick someone up from work. The children ranged in ages from 2 to 9. There's no word on what started the fire.
Well, meanwhile, new at 4, Canadian officials easing border restrictions now even further to allow fully vaccinated U.S. tourists into the country this weekend. U.S. citizens, permanent residents will still have to have a negative COVID test and submit information to the government of Canada through an app. But unless selected randomly, you won't have to take another test on arrival. Those who aren't children who are not vaccinated under 12 will also be allowed and skip quarantine so long as they avoid large gatherings. Today, a work stoppage causing, look at this, a big old backup there at the Detroit border. This was the scene this morning. Semi-truck drivers waiting to cross. Border Patrol agents were on the verge of a strike and remain at the bargaining table to try to reach an agreement. They're negotiating for better pay, protection against harassment and discrimination, and remote work policy for non-uniform members.
Happening tomorrow in Springfield, a back-to-school bash for kids. The event is hosted every year by the Lincoln Presidential Library and Museum. The event is free and offers educational fun and games for children. Each child will receive a binder for the upcoming school year. Parents will also be able to learn about child safety, money management, and educational resources.
Just getting them back and getting them engaged with educational activities, STEM programs, things along those lines is really good for them, both academically and just socially, because a lot of these kids haven't gotten a chance to go out and do a lot of things this last year.
Well, the event is from 10 until 2 in Springfield's Union Square Park. That's across from the museum. Now, COVID-19 vaccines will be available as well. Illinois students will return to the classroom, of course, in just a couple of weeks, and they will be doing so in masks. Pediatricians say students will be safest and healthiest in masks. That's because only kids 12 and older are currently eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine. We talked to a pediatrician with Memorial Health Systems. He says one of the concerns of masks cutting off oxygen to a child's brain are grossly exaggerated.
Reliable studies that were done in the right way have shown very minimal oxygen level drops in any way, none of which should prove harmful in any way whatsoever to a normal, healthy child. I think our only concern with masks, you have a child that has a predisposing medical condition that makes it impossible for them to remove the mask themselves if they needed to.
Dr. John says the Delta variant has heightened the need for masks in school because of how quickly it spreads.
Health experts say properly clean that mask is just as important as wearing one. Masks should be cleaned every day, should be washed in soap and warm water and laid out to dry overnight or put in the dryer. It should be completely dry before being worn again. Team USA continues to bring in the gold, and a local Olympian will soon have a chance at her own. We're going to bring those details next. And later, economists hopeful as the July job report is released how COVID-19 could have an impact in the coming months.
American employers added nearly 1 million jobs in July. The better than expected July jobs report lowered the unemployment rate to 5.4%.
New at 4, while today's report shows the economy is doing well, President Biden says it could be short-lived as COVID infections and hospitalizations are putting work on hold for many. Alice Barr has the latest from Washington.
President Biden today touting good news for the economic recovery. 943,000 jobs created in the month of July as the U.S. unemployment rate fell to 5.4%.
The Biden plan produces results, and the Biden plan is moving the country forward.
But the new jobs report does not reflect the full impact of the Delta variant in the past few weeks, as it's been driving COVID cases back up to levels not seen since February. The negative trend potentially discouraging both hiring and job seeking.
If this kind of track continues the way it is right now, this could be as good as some of the job numbers get for the near to medium term.
President Biden insists vaccines will keep us from winding up where we were last winter.
America can beat the Delta variant, just as we beat the original COVID-19. We can do this.
As the virus surges, the vaccination rate is rising too. The White House today announcing 50% of all Americans are now fully vaccinated.
Get vaccinated, please. It's safe. It works. It will save lives and maybe save your life.
After offering incentives for holdouts to get the vaccine, the Biden administration now reportedly considering tougher tactics, including potentially withholding federal funds from places like nursing homes that don't require employees to be vaccinated. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Those discussions are still in the very early stages, with some administration officials worried that pushing too hard for employer vaccine mandates could backfire. So if you're job hunting, where should you look? Bars, restaurants, and hotels are seeing the highest demand for cooks, service staff, and other workers. State and local governments have the most openings.
Well, you're going to have a job to afford this. We have new details on Disney's Star Wars themed hotel in Florida, where guests can be immersed in a galaxy far, far away for an astronomical price tag. A 2-night stay at the Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel will run from $4,800 for 2 adults to $6,000 for 4 guests. Disney says, hold on though, that pricing covers the overall experience along with meals and admission.
We start today honoring a fallen hero. Officer Chris Oberheim will take his final ride this afternoon to be laid to rest in Monticello, where his family now calls home. Central Illinois communities come together to pay their final respects to a father of 4, a husband, a coach, and a local officer, and honor the legacy he left behind. We have team coverage this afternoon as we prepare to pay final respects. WAND's Karen Isert and Megan Whitlock are along the procession route in Monticello and Decatur with how the community can show support to the Oberheim family. Officer Oberheim died last Wednesday while on duty with the Champaign Police Department. Oberheim and his partner Jeffrey Creel were called to a domestic situation in the early morning hours. That's when police say the two encountered an armed man and a shootout started. Both officers and the suspect were shot. Both officers were taken to a local hospital. Oberheim died just hours later. His partner survived spending several days in the hospital. The suspect died on scene. But first, as a celebration of life continue for Officer Oberheim, the Oberheim family, law enforcement, friends, and invited guests pay their respects at the Maranatha Church in Decatur. That's where we find WAND's Chris Carter. Chris.
Well, Nikki, law enforcement from across the country as far away as Dallas, Texas, New York City, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, all here to pay their respects to fallen officer Chris Oberheim at the Maranatha Church behind me. And over to my left here, you can see hundreds of law enforcement vehicles that will take part in that miles-long procession that will start here at the church around 1:30 and make its way through Decatur, down 72, and eventually to Monticello. As you said, Officer Oberheim died 1 week ago. It was 1 week ago today, and the community has shown its support for the last week. We have seen officers from multiple departments walking in and out of the church here for Officer Oberheim's funeral, which is closed to the public. We do know that his family is here, and they have continued to thank the community. We heard from Chief Anthony Cobb yesterday, who said that the support that the community has provided is overwhelming. He described Officer Oberheim as a hero, a man who laid his life down. Officer Oberheim, as you said, was a father of 4. He coached softball. His daughter, who just graduated high school, was a member of the Monticello High School softball team, and we have seen them here today as well. Obviously, a very emotional day for everyone involved and for the officer's family as well. We are live in Decatur. Chris Carter, WAND News.
Today, officials are asking you to line the route from the church to Oberheim's final resting place. The procession will leave from Maranatha Assembly of God in Decatur at 1:30. It will then head on 51, turn onto Southside Drive, and pass in front of the Decatur Police Department. Next, it will head north on Fairview Avenue, passing Milliken, Fairview Park, Graceland Fairlawn Funeral Home, and then turn left onto Pershing Road before getting on the interstate. The procession will head to Monticello and exit at Bridge Street. The procession will go into town before turning onto North State Street, and you'll see the flags line the way to Monticello Township Cemetery. If you want to see a map of the exact route, just head over to our website, WANDTV.com. Now, to stay up to date with the latest details and to watch the procession live as it passes from the Maranatha Assembly of God in Decatur to the cemetery in Monticello, follow WAND News Center 17 on Facebook.
It is 12:03 on your Wednesday afternoon, and we're seeing a little bit of sunshine right now, but also a few clouds. Of course, we got to take a live look on your Florida America WeatherBug Network, and overall, we're going to continue to see a little bit of sunshine. So you're going to notice a few low-lying clouds, mostly cloudy skies for the time being here in Decatur, but expecting most of that to push out here in a little bit. Again, this is on the Barn Citizen Building in downtown Decatur. Again, a few clouds, but still expect dry conditions. In fact, satellite radar showing those clouds going to continue to push out as a drier air mass is on the back end of this. We saw some early morning showers, but we're making way for a little bit more sunshine within about the next hour or two. So if you're headed out to line the streets for that Oberheim procession, well, we're going to be in the 80s here in Decatur whenever they depart at 1:30. But as they start to arrive out towards Monticello Cemetery around 2:30, it's going to be mostly sunny with temperatures back around closer to 82 there. And again, 80 degrees in Decatur at 1:30, 82 at the arrival there in Monticello at 2:30. So overall, well, we still have to deal with a little bit of sunshine today. We can't complain a whole lot about that. A few strong thunderstorms still possible in your forecast, but that's along the cold front, which will impact your temperatures. I'll have all the details coming up in a few short minutes.
Law enforcement from around the state will help cover calls in Champaign today. Officers from neighboring departments will help patrol the area so all officers can attend Officer Oberheim's celebration of life. The Champaign Police Chief is grateful for the law enforcement community's outpouring of support.
We're very thankful for the show of support and thankful to our partner agencies who have done a lot to embrace and wrap their arms around the Champaign Police Department as we're dealing with this.
Illinois State Police, along with Champaign County and other local departments, will provide assistance to the city. Just last weekend, one of Oberheim's daughters graduated from Monticello High School. Many people are now sending graduation cards to the high school to show her support. If you would like to send a card, you can address it to the Monticello High School at 1 Sage Drive in Monticello. The zip code is 61856. And if you want to send support to Officer Jeffrey Creel, who was wounded in the shooting that killed Oberheim, the Champaign Police Department says you can send cards addressed to him to the department. You can send those to the Champaign Police Department at 82 East University Avenue in Champaign. Their zip code is 61820. And let's take a live look at the procession route where Officer Oberheim will soon be taken to his final resting place. You are asked to line the street of the procession from Decatur to Monticello. We will continue to bring you team coverage coming up after the break.
Plus, we're going to be taking your look at your forecast. We're going to be dry this afternoon, but a few things could change as we head into your Thursday. I'll have the details.
Tonight, a new approach to hiring and training police officers in the state. The proposal by one lawmaker to recruit those who are, quote, the right fit for their community policing. Also at 6, the number of women in Illinois prisons has exploded. Now a major push for reforms.
We need to do this work for women, for families, and for our communities.
The starting place for reforms by a new task force. And money to help small businesses hit hard in the pandemic in the capital city. Who qualifies and for how much?
WAND News at 6 starts now.
First on WAND News at 6, police shootings and police training practices have been in the headlines for most of the past year, causing officials to rethink policies now, leading to the passing of a criminal justice reform measure that has many officers frankly calling it quits. In fact, it was opposed by most law enforcement agencies.
As WAND's Doug Wolf reports, one central Illinois lawmaker is now proposing a measure that will help communities to recruit and retain officers.
When the legislature jammed through a criminal justice reform bill in an overnight session in January, it left a lot of questions as to what police officers can do, how to properly train, and how to handle fast-moving situations.
Police officers are placed into delicate, unpredictable, and potentially dangerous situations.
Republican State Representative Tom Bennett of Pontiac, who opposed that measure, is offering new legislation that may eventually assist communities in hiring and retaining qualified police officers.
You have to make split-second decisions that can have enormous consequences. And most of the time they make the right decision, but we've also seen the tragic outcomes that can occur when they make the wrong decisions.
Bennett's proposal will set up a recruitment division within the State Law Enforcement Training Standards Board
to work with the individual police departments around the state to find out the priorities and the specific characteristics that each department, each community is looking for in their police officers.
Most law enforcement agencies handle their own recruiting, and this new recruitment division will provide assistance in helping communities find officers that are the right fit.
We can help those local departments, especially the smaller ones, expand their reach as they search for the right officer for their community.
Bennett's bill is currently in committee, and he says he will work with police chiefs and the Sheriff's Association to develop how the bill will look in its final form. In Decatur, Doug Wolf, WAND News.
Republican State Representative Mike Marin of Danville is a co-sponsor of Bennett's bill. New for you tonight at 6. The Illinois women's prison population has skyrocketed. It outpaced the rate among men by nearly 68,000 more admissions since 1980.
Meanwhile, over the past 10 years, the state spent more than $1.4 billion on female prisoners and parole operations alone. Now, a Women's Justice Task Force working to reduce the number of women incarcerated by half. It's an initiative that is the first of its kind in the nation. WAND's Karen Eisert joins us now. Karen, how does the task force plan to make this happen?
Now, Sean, the task force is a partnership of over 500 women, current and former incarcerated women and officials in and out of the justice system. Now, working to address the needs of women and their families throughout the process of incarceration and beyond. Most of these women admitted for low-level, nonviolent drug or property crimes. The task force releasing a report to address conditions, saying female inmates are subject to more discipline than men and often less opportunities for education and programs that could help qualify for early release.
We must reinvest our resources into the communities and the families that have suffered the most harm. And we must do this work through a trauma-informed and gender-responsive lens that will keep more women and girls, both cis and trans, out of the system to begin with. Women and girls who need resources and treatment and care and opportunity rather than a jail or prison cell.
The task force is also working on reinvestment strategies to build private and public partnerships to work with women in prisons re-entering daily life. The report outlined a key area that needs reform is addressing how cases are organized and examined in a court system at the time of conviction, working to keep women from ever being behind bars. In the studio, Karen Eisert, WAND News.
Karen, thanks. Shooting suspect. The search is still on. Decatur police looking for 18-year-old Adam Lowe. Shooting happened in the 800 block of West William Street yesterday. A 22-year-old woman taken to the hospital treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Police described the Lowe as a white male with shaggy hair, wearing a black zip-up sweatshirt. He's wanted for attempted first-degree murder. Anyone with information is urged to call Decatur police or Crime Stoppers. And in Champaign, rescued from a burning house. 4 people in critical condition tonight after firefighters had to rush into that burning house to rescue them. Happened on West Beardsley Avenue just after 9. Smoke and flames seen coming from the back of that house. No word on what caused the fire, which is under investigation.
Breaking news, a ransomware attack at the Illinois Attorney General's office tonight. It's not known what information was exposed and the extent of the compromise. However, we do know information from the public is stored on the network and includes names, social security numbers, insurance, and driver's license numbers. If you have questions on the attack, you can start calling on Friday, the number on your screen. For more on this developing story, go to WANDTV.com.
Yeah, I'm going to repeat that, Dawn. That's tomorrow, not today, because, you know, somebody's going to call today. It's tomorrow that you could call that number. Speaking of tomorrow, oh, you know what? The wind is going to be huffing and puffing yet again, much like it was today. Nothing all that terrible, but Sky's the Limit Tree Service shows us that had some gusts into the 20s today. No big deal. Flooring America Camera Network out over Warrensburg, Latham. Minor patchy clouds, but a little bit more in terms of cloud cover farther off to the north, where I'm actually tracking a little skinny band of light rain showers. They'll skirt along and north of Interstate 74. Splash and dash, really, for the vast majority of us the next 48 hours on a rain-free note. Oh, but could it be even longer than 48 hours? I'll be discussing that when I come back, Sean.
Also new tonight at 6, helping to understand the process. The City of Springfield now offering webinars to help small businesses affected by COVID-19 to apply for funds to stay afloat. Although applications are not yet open, the city wants those who qualify to know and where to apply.
So straightforward entities that would qualify would be our restaurants, our food stands, food trucks do qualify, caterers qualify, your bars, lounges, taverns.
Applications for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund can begin to be submitted May 3rd at noon. You can apply at restaurants.sba.gov. Sangamon County Department of Public Health teaming up with the Sangamon Mass Transit System to help stay walk-up vaccine clinic. Those who came had the option to receive either the Pfizer or Johnson & Johnson shot. They also received 2 bus tokens to cover the cost of transportation.
We thought that putting it at our transfer center is a place that everybody knows how to get to. It's a way that they can ride the transportation they're used to riding to still get their vaccine. And it's also a way for us to help them by covering their transportation to and from.
Today, they were able to vaccinate 39 people. To find out where you can get your vaccination in your county, visit our website, WANDTV.com. Still to come on WAND News at 6. From stage to the studio, the new Millikan University degree helping prepare students break into the music industry from a business perspective.
Preparing to do it all yourself. Millikan University is launching a new music business degree to help students become their own one-man band, per se.
How about that? Courses will range from traditional business classes to music performance and entrepreneurial strategies, allowing students to be their own manager and marketing team.
You can join the program without a background on a certain instrument, which I think opens the program up to anybody who loves music, who's interested in it, might even be in a band, but doesn't want to have music and their instrument be the focus of their university life.
Bachelors of Science in Arts and Music Business will begin being offered this fall.
Coming up in just a few short minutes.